Hi everyone and welcome to the May release video. We are Qonic and we're on a mission to make your BIM model and IFC data move as fast as your IDs. So if you're tired of waiting on your software, you're in the right place. When you're modeling, you want to stay in a flow state, but too often BIM tools force you to pause, to wait for a panel or search for a tool. At Qonic, we're always looking for those daily friction points and removing them. Okay, Jacob, let's start with the new model picker.
Yes, so let me show you what's new in this new release of Qonic. I'll start off by opening this model here. And the first thing you may notice, if you've been using Qonic before, is a slight redesign of this top bar here. Most of this is just a visual change, but actually it comes with quite a useful new toolbar here, or new toolset here, which is basically the option to load and unload models in your project straight from the client, straight from the model environment, instead of having to go back to the dashboard. So in this case, I have one model loaded, the structural model. I can see the project contains 3 more models, which I can now simply load and unload right here and right now, instead of having to go back through the dashboard. It also comes with a useful new feature to lock models, as well as easily setting one of the models as the active model. So, for example, currently the HVAC model is the active one. This means if I create new geometry in my model here, it will automatically be added to this HVAC model. So I can quickly change this to, for example, the facades model. And it also comes with this new feature to lock existing models in view. This is just kind of a personal lock. It's not for other people. You're not locking the model for other people in the project. It's basically in this session temporarily lock these models so as not to accidentally make changes to these models. So for example, I've now locked all models except for the facade model here, meaning if I try to make a change, for example, let's try to delete half of the building here. This will only affect the facade model and not the models that have been locked, which is in this case the architecture, structure and HVAC models. Let me undo this, and before we continue to the next topic, there's a small extra change I do want to quickly show as well, which is the views panel. There used to be this kind of menu here when you click this button. Now basically the views panel opens up instantly and shows you your favorite views as well as the other views in your project. It also comes with a useful interface to reorder your favorite views, so the automatically assigned shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts 1, 2 and 3 up to 5 now follow the order that is displayed here in this favorites tab, so you can quickly order around your favorite views.
Okay, that's really nice because you're never just looking at one file and now you can just swap that context as fast as you think. Okay, next up, a highly requested one. In most tools, inspecting complex areas is a chore, and we wanted it to feel more like sketching. That's how the new slice tool works.
Yeah, so we've added a new feature or a new option in the slice tool. So the existing slice tool basically allowed you to slice up objects according to a certain slicing plane. So to find the slice tool, you can go here under Modify, or use a shortcut S. Basically, the slice tool allowed you to slice this object according to a plane you could select in your model. So I could select the face here and then move this plane. But this has some restrictions. It means that you have to already have some geometry in your model in the direction that you want to slice. And it also allows you only to slice along a single plane or parallel planes. Now we've basically added the option to slice by 2D chalk curves or polygons. So this allows me to start drawing lines and shapes on my object. So let's try, for example, adding a line here. I'm just doing it kind of random here to show you how it works. So I've added some lines on top of this floor slab. If I now hit S for slice, automatically this chalk curves option is enabled. As soon as chalk curves are detected on one of the faces of the object you want to slice, this will be enabled by default. And now I can click basically the curves I want to use as my slicing planes basically. So hitting apply, now basically has turned this floor slab or this roof slab into 6 separate parts. This also works with slightly more complex curves. So for example, let's focus on this slab here. I can also add, for example, curved lines here, or maybe some chained straight lines. So I'm just kind of sketching here by snapping to the existing objects around me. And now I can again use these curves as input for my slicing tool. I can still manually click them, manually select them to see exactly where it will be sliced. So super useful if you want to slice your model up into specific shapes. Now there's one final improvement that we've made in terms of modeling, and this is the manipulator, the way we handle the manipulator in the transform tool. So the transform tool, again, basically allows you to move, rotate, and copy objects in your model. But there was a restriction in how this manipulator could be dropped on your model. So let's say I want to modify this wall here, I want to move it or rotate it. If I now hit T for transform, so far I was only able to drop this manipulator on the object itself. So I could use one of the edges or the corners here, but only the object itself. Now I can actually move the manipulator outside my selected objects, which means, for example, let's say I want to put my manipulator here. I can now easily, let's say, copy this wall to this exact distance between these two columns. So now the distance between these two columns will be the exact same as the distance between these two columns. I can check this using the measure tool. This seems correct. So you can use this to basically have your base point or origin point of your transform outside of the object that you're transforming. Also, you can redrop your manipulator to outside your object. So for example, this one here, I can hold down my left mouse button on the center of this manipulator to redrop it somewhere else, like here for instance. And now let's copy this column over. I'll use Ctrl D to duplicate this movement a few times to correctly position this wall with respect to this existing interval between these two walls here. It can also be useful if you, for example, want to rotate about a certain point that's outside your selection. So maybe I want to rotate about this point here. Let's say I want to copy it like this. It's kind of a irrelevant example, but it kind of shows you the power of having this manipulator drop outside of the object that you're trying to transform.
Wow, that's also a very nice addition. And again, it's so easy and intuitive to use. So thank you, Jacob, for the very clear demonstration again. Okay, at Qonic we believe in BIM without boundaries. We're done with conversion lag, installation hurdles, and week-long coordination cycles that stall your progress. We're rebuilding the workflow from the ground up, so that means open, fast, and accessible to everyone on the team. This is the new standard. It's all about making the software invisible, so the focus remains on the building. Everything is available right now in Qonic, so it's all waiting for you at app.qonic.com. You can log in for free, see what happens when the software finally moves as fast as you do. See you next time. Bye-bye.